Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome back after the unofficial hiatus of the Just Your Average Fangirl podcast. My name is Jordan.
I'm Natalie. We got a lovely episode for you guys that's jam-packed with two big movies from the past month or so, which would be Black Widow, of course, and The Suicide Squad. Um, Sorry for the long hiatus. It's been a busy summer. We are both off to college. Jordan's already in college. I'll let her talk about a little bit about that real quick. We're going to start talking about Black Widow first, but Jordan, tell us about your summer real quick. Just a little brief update on everything.
All right. So yeah, I'm in college right now. Yeah, I'm a writing for film and TV major. So yeah, and I moved into my dorm. It's just been a whole week of orientation. I start classes on Monday, which is crazy.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Dude, that's so cool. Oh my god. Yeah, I leave in about 9 days, I think. But I don't start class until the 13th of
Really.
September. So yeah, so I have a lot of time. That's crazy. You're starting. Oh my god. How does it do you oh my god, you're that's awesome. I'm so excited for you. Yeah. No, what I never mind. I was gonna ask you what classes because it's sort of related to film and TV and all that kind of stuff. Is there one you're do you have oh my god, I'm just gonna stop talking for a second.
No, yeah. So for my major, I take writing for screen media and then history of film, TV, and emerging media. So the emerging media part, it seems interesting because like it's like video games or comic books or other thing like types or like transmedia, like you want to write something in the Star Wars universe or something, which
Mhm.
it, that sort of encompasses. And so those are my two major classes. I also take a seminar that's about like the history of feminism sort of in media throughout the 20th and 21st century. So that'll be interesting. And then I do a bunch of other classes that don't matter as much, but no, I'm very excited to start classes. But yeah, and Natalie, you're going to be an acting major, so and possibly I don't know if you wanted me to say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for acting and hopefully a minor or major in creative writing. My classes are the basic acting classes, I guess, acting, movement, voice, yoga. And then I'm trying to take a playwriting class too. But I think it's so funny. We're both going into basically what this podcast is about, just film, media, actors, all of that stuff, and writing. I love it. It's so much fun.
No, it's definitely because a big part of at least my major, I'm sure that's because we both did a lot of acting together in high school. A big part of, I mean, and if you do creative writing, is that sort of workshopping things and giving critiques to other people. And that's not really what we do, but it's like, we're sort of having a conversation about a movie and saying what we responded to about it, what we did with that, what we didn't, which is at least for me a big going to be a big part of my major with showing classmates a script and having to look at other scripts and having to say what I responded to in a
Yeah,
constructive way, which I'm scared some people in my major won't be able to do, but we'll see.
I love that. I definitely feel that. Oh yeah. All right.
Want to
Shall
get
we?
started?
Yeah, let's get started. All right. So Black Widow came out about a month ago, and I've been trying to see it for God knows how long. And I wanted to see it in the theaters because I know definitely with Marvel movies and this kind of comic book movies in general, just that kind of universe is a lot better in theaters. But unfortunately, by the time I finally got to see the movie, it was out of theaters. So I had the experience of it at home. Did you get to see it in theaters or did you watch it at home?
I did. I saw, I think, like the second weekend or something. Second, maybe third weekend it came out. So I saw it with my sisters in the theater. So
Awesome. So, do you want to talk a little bit about it first?
yes. So, just some brief stats. Black Widow was directed by Kate Shortland, written by Eric Pearson, and it stars above others Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, David Harbour, Rachel Weisz, and so spoilers for this movie as well as something that happens in Endgame. So if you're one of those people watching them in chronological order, fair warning. So yeah, so Black Widow takes place in between Civil War and Infinity War, and Black Widow has always been one of my personal favorite characters. Just as a little background, I guess I don't know because being a little redheaded girl, seeing another, I don't know, it was this weird thing. I was here for Halloween in like third grade, useless fact, but it was really cool to see this just normal woman kicking ass with like these super overpowered, not overpowered, but powerful like other people. And I don't know, that just meant a lot to me growing up. And since then, she still remained one of my, I thought, the most underrated of the Marvel characters. So when they finally announced they were getting a movie about her, like a lot of people, I was very excited. And I was personally disappointed. I don't know, I don't know what Natalie you think, but from your nods of agreement, it seems that you feel similarly. I feel like I've been talking for a while, but I guess I'll start off by saying, I've been waiting for this movie for a long time, and it really just feels like, outside of a couple of things, I'm not going to say there wasn't anything I didn't like about it. It just really felt like a movie they made because a lot of people wanted a Black Widow movie, not because they really wanted to make a Black Widow movie, if that makes sense. With the exception of, I will say, Florence Pugh's character and maybe David Harbour's character. But besides that, it just really felt, besides like Florence Pugh especially, it really just felt inconsequential, I guess I would say. And I know I don't know how I feel personally about this, but a lot of people are saying, oh, it's too late. Like, she's dead already. Like, how else could they expand her character? But I still feel like you could have made a good movie, like standalone film. I don't know. I'll stop talking for now. Natalie, what are your thoughts?
I hated it. I feel so bad saying that because, like you, I love Black Widow and I was so excited for this film, and it took them so many years to make it, and it makes me so mad about that because she's literally the coolest character, one of the coolest characters. The fact that she's fighting along gods and literal super soldiers, all that stuff, and she's just like a normal person is so cool, and she's so tough and honestly such a good character. And then the movie was just not good. First of all, it barely focused around her in a way. Like, I feel like we didn't get enough Black Widow content as it is. It it made me so mad. And also, I might just be remembering this wrong because I haven't seen Endgame in a while. But wasn't she like a big part of it? Was her being so sad because she never had a family, and her Avenger family is her only family, and that's taken away from her. But literally just before that movie starts, she finds out she has a family because of this movie. So it doesn't make any sense, and it is contradicting so much stuff. And she doesn't need a family. That's her whole like character. Like, why did they do that? They just kind of soiled the character in a way. And also, they made her so emotional in this film, which is not very seen too often in the other films. Like, she seemed to be the most emotional character in this film, and she didn't seem like herself in a way. It it I just don't like I don't like I didn't like the movie. It made me so mad. It was too action packed as well. Like, I felt like there was just a lot of fighting. Fighting was a majority of the movie, and also, oh my god, there's one point in the movie when I think, yeah, it's at the very end when the ship is being exploded. It's the cheesiest thing ever, where the person's running and you just see explosions in the back. Like, they didn't even try at this movie. I think they just, God, when you think about all the other like individual movies, like the Iron Man series, the Captain America series, it's so good. It's very plot driven. The character, you get a lot of character development, and you see a nice character arc. But for this, it was very one note, just fighting, no relevance to the actual storyline of anything, no nothing. It was so, God, and the ending of it was so weird too, because she gets to see her family, and then she's like, okay, I'm gonna leave now and go rescue Avengers. But there was no kind of transition to that. It was just like she leaves her family, now she's going to the Avengers. It it was just not good, and it makes me so upset saying that because they could have done so many cool things with this movie. And like I said before, it's such a good character, and they just wasted it. And this is probably her last moments of being seen and having a big part of the MCU because they killed her off. And they just wasted it. And unless they make some TV series about, oh God, it made me so mad. We didn't even get too much of a backstory on her specifically. It was just kind of, oh, the Red Room, but not for her. It's this whole other universe of new Red Room people. And it was just not focusing on her enough. And it was not, the plot was just, like the whole movie just felt like, and it might also be a little bit because I know definitely with movies, playing with the audience and feeding off of that energy and hearing it in the big theater with its surround sound, all that stuff is a lot more, and you're a lot more invested into it. But watching at home, it was so hard to get through, honestly. Got like an hour in and I was like, God, I hope it gets better, but it didn't. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say for right now. Jordan, right back to you.
Yeah, so responding to the action for a little bit, I don't remember Winter Soldier that much since it's been a while since I've seen this, but this movie is definitely at least trying to be like a spy thriller, something in the vein of a Bond movie or a Jason Bourne movie. And I know you've seen at least Casino Royale, and at least from what I know about that, the action is very grounded, and it's about seeing the characters, and there's a lot. I feel like there was more of that in Winter Soldier too, where the action felt more grounded. And I know like Steve's a super soldier, but it's them, but they're still people, and they're not just flying, falling like 15 miles to the ground, and then they land fine. Does that make so? What I'm saying, and then there were just so many parts where I think because she's like a normal person to me, I expected there to be a lot more creativity, I guess, with the fighting and the action, and just but there were just so many times where I was like, I feel like she should have at least broken a wrist or something. I don't know if I'm making any sense with that, but it just felt so over the top. To the point where I didn't feel like anything really, like I wasn't like especially towards the finale, like I wasn't like at the edge of my seat or anything, because it was just so over the top with them like running like downwards and like fighting, and then they land fine on the ground, and I think she was like a cut on her forehead, but that's it. It was just so over the top to the point where I just couldn't get invested in it. And not, I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but and not like, and like there's just weren't like, I don't know. That's what I'll say about the action so far. It's just, and also I noticed this with the Mulan remake too. How come like these movies have $200 million budgets, but how come this green screen looks so bad? Like, was it just me, or did the green screen look so bad? Like, I don't, like, it was just too over the top. I feel like it should have been like, even like, yeah, like Winter Soldier also had high stakes, but it was just, it was just like Cap and Bucky fighting on this platform thing, and then like that was the finale. And like I feel like Marvel movies, like because of Endgame, I think a lot of even the TV shows are sometimes partial to this, but they feel like they have this big grandiose final fight. But like some of the best third acts are one where it is more like, I think of the third Indiana Jones movie, where the final, like, there's like a whole attack, like fight scene where Indy was on a horse and trying to disable all these tanks. But then the finale was his father was shot, and he has to go through, it's like so quiet, and it's just him trying to go through this maze and trying to test his faith and try to get through these challenges to save his father. And that's just so much more impactful to me than just than just people exploding everywhere. I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's how I feel about the action. And then the other thing I'll say for now is, I think it was a mistake to have it be mind control. I don't know if they just didn't maybe get the right screenwriter, but I feel like it would have been so much, again, more emotionally impactful if we just had Natasha like talk, if like Florence Pugh's character, I forget her name, but if she broke off her own of her own like free will, or if Natasha, because yeah, like Natasha really just doesn't have a lot of agency until like halfway through the movie when they decide to rescue the Red Guardian.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's Florence Pugh's character who like gets unmind controls and contacts Natasha. Like what if like Natasha figured out that, oh, my young sister is there. What if I try to get her to see like this isn't all life is, like she can make her own decisions. And then from there they just like talk to the other widows and tell them this isn't it. I just feel like it also would have been more impactful to the message if it's not just like you have to spray a bunch of shit in their face and now they're fine. I just feel like it would have made the story so much more emotionally invested, and we would have seen how much Natasha has grown as a character from her time, even since maybe the first Avengers, where she's able to express her like emotions more and say, hey, you know, you guys can find your own families, you know, this isn't like there's like hope for you. That's all I'll say for now, but I'll let you respond.
Real quick, so I looked up the writer. Apparently he was writing on Thor Ragnarok, and of course Godzilla versus Kong, which is the worst movie I've ever seen. Okay, so that makes sense, honestly. Thor Ragnarok, I don't know about that. Okay, that movie, my opinions, is for another day because I have a lot to unpack there. But yeah, I don't want to trash on him, but God, it makes me mad. It honestly makes me so mad. Ugh. And going back to what you were saying before about the action sequences, and like Winter Soldier a little bit. When you think of Black Widow's character in Civil War and the Winter Soldier, it is so much more standout, and you can it's a more tangible and graspable character. Like she's a real person, and you can feel her power and energy, and you can see what she's actually doing. Especially for, well, I think it's Winter Soldier when they start off going onto that ship and she's stealing that data from God knows what, I don't remember, but like the shield data, she's backing that up. You can see her character more there. But in this movie, all that goes to trash. Like, I don't know what they were doing. It didn't feel like her. I mean, it might be on the same standpoint of watching Loki, where it felt weird to see so much of him at first, and it just didn't exactly feel like his character. But I think that's also because it wasn't exactly his character, and it wasn't how he was written before. Man, thinking back, honestly, my opinions are just constantly changing. Like when you really think about the Loki series and then think about where in the timeline he was taken, like in that New York sequence, that's a different character. Like he just doesn't match up at all. But for this, once again, it doesn't match up, and everything seems so low stakes to her in a way. Like I don't know. It is such a weird emotional journey for her, I guess, and it's so weird because she's very emotional at some parts, but when she sees her sister, she's just kind of she's not really too extremely happy with that, and I don't know. It feels very weird altogether. And going back to the action sequences, they're very unmotivated in a way. It feels like they're just forcing as much action as possible into the movie to make it interesting or something like that. And what you were saying before about how no one got hurt and no one was injured, and yeah, it didn't make any sense. And even when she broke her nose, I mean, I guess it might be something minuscule or whatever the word is for her because she constantly gets beaten up in battle, but she literally was fine, and then she snapped it back into place and she was like, okay, let's go fighting again. And she was being beaten by this whole gang of widows, but she was perfectly fine and was walking away, and it doesn't make any sense. And going back to Winter Soldier, we see Bucky break his arm and all of this stuff where it's actually these characters are being injured and they're barely surviving, and they're not like passing by as easy, and meanwhile they're kind of dealing with less in a way. But for this, so much is going on, but it doesn't add up, and it's God, the movie, it makes me really mad. And I can't get over how stupid it is that they made family a part of her life now. Meanwhile, in the movies, she talks about how she doesn't have a family, and the timeline gets messed up for that because she knows that she has a family technically now. And yet, oh God, it makes me really upset. Honestly, I keep repeating everything that I'm saying, but still in my head, that's all I could think about. And when I was watching the movie, I was thinking about what I would say and all of that stuff. And I wanted to say good things about it. Honestly, one of the only good things was Florence Pugh's character. But even then, it felt so forced and cheesy. It didn't, like, the one bit where she was talking about how when Black Widow lands, she like does a squat thing and then she like looks up like that. That felt so forced and came out of nowhere to me. It was funny, of course, but it just didn't seem right. Everything in this movie felt forced. Also, the accents. I'm sorry. I wasn't a fan. Didn't really make sense in my head. Honestly, if they did it without the accents, the movie would have been a bit better because they seemed very fake. The dads, on the other hand, what's his name? I forget his name.
The Red Guardian.
Yeah. Also, he's a super soldier. I might just be non-knowledgeable, but I feel like that came out of nowhere, and I don't know. I don't want to deal with that in my head because, God, it makes me really mad. I'm running out of things to say because it's too clouded with all the things I'm angry about.
Yeah, I'll say a couple positive things because I don't think I hated it as much as you did. I thought it was just okay. I will say I really liked Yelena's character. Her name's Yelena, I realized. I thought Yelena was a really great and welcome addition to the film. And I actually really liked her relationship with Natasha. I thought some of the best moments were Natasha and Yelena just kind of sitting and talking. And that goes for most of the scene, the dinner scene where the whole family was talking, the scene. I didn't mind the posing thing. I thought it was cute. It was like, okay, like, she's like, and I thought there were some interesting things with Yelena. Like the fact that she's like, oh, you're the most renowned thing. You're a renowned, and I'm just like some assassin or whatever. Like she said something like that, which I thought was interesting, and I wish like they sort of expanded on maybe a little bit more. But I really liked her character, and I am curious to see she's like the one part of the film I do want to see more of, because I thought she was really cool, and I thought she provided a good foil for Natasha. I really liked David Harbour as the Red Guardian as well. I thought he was very funny. I do think they sort of butchered his character arc, and he just kind of became like a punching bag. Like it seems like he was just hard. He kind of gave me Mr. Incredible vibes, where he was just holding on to the glory days, and just going on to, oh, I was the Red Guardian, but that doesn't really get resolved.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. I don't know. I just felt like they kind of introduced this idea, but then never it kind of dissipated out. It's like, oh, funny, I really like Rachel Weisz. I just like her as an actress. I like how we see a little bit of even just a little bit of Natasha's intelligence, like using the face thing, swap places with the mother. Mm-hmm. To infiltrate the villain's lair and to get the information, to figure out how to unlock the information. I was like, okay, like that's the Black Widow we know.
Yeah.
So I will say that. I really, yeah. So that's what I really enjoy. I think that's what. Yeah. Sorry. You can go.
No. Finish your thought.
That's what I really like. It's hard because I'm like in my mind I don't like not like this as much as like Captain Marvel or something. Like I don't like that movie at all. But mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like there was just enough like charm. And Scarlett Johansson, she was really good as usual. I really like her as this character, even though she might have been written a little bit differently, as you talked about. I still think she was fantastic as this role. So yeah, I'll let you know.
Oh, real quick, the one scene where Red Guardian is putting his suit back on, the one clip we see of him actually like putting it on, there's no way in the world that that would fit him based on how it like looked, and then he comes out and it fits perfectly. That bothered me a little bit, and I think it would be just so much more funny and just enjoyable if he came out and it didn't fit, but he's still fully wearing it. Like that would, oh god, that would have, they missed that opportunity. Like, the helmet doesn't fit properly, and that was very funny. But if they did that with the whole suit, where it's the same, where it's coming up a little bit, you can see a little bit of the flab sticking out. That would be so funny and so much more fun to see. And okay, I know I sound like I'm hating it so much because I kind of do, but the world. I'm trying to think of good things. You know, I don't want to say I hated it fully because it's not that bad of a movie. Like I've seen worse movies and I don't hate it that much. I do really like the costume designs of it, and oh my god, that one character, her friend that's helping her find all of this equipment and stuff. I loved him. Such a good character. I wanted to see more of him. He was so much fun.
He's in The Handmaid's Tale if you want to see more of him. I was like, is that Luke from The Handmaid's Tale? Oh my god.
Such a fun character. He was really enjoyable, good comic relief. I wish I could see more interaction with the Black Widow, her sister, and that character, because that one little scene at the end when not at the end, like in the middle when they're getting the helicopter, that was so much fun, where they were just kind of picking on him, and I wanted to see, if anything, I wanted to see more of that sisterly kind of bond and playfulness. And I also wish we could see Black Widow protecting her sister more, because we do see in the beginning how she literally takes a gun and is saying, I will shoot you if you hurt her, I will shoot you if you even come near her. And then she loses that. But of course, she would still have that big sister energy and that big sister kind of motherly care. But we lose that. And I wish there was more of that, where we see her being the annoying big sister in a way and kind of watching out for her little sister. Because I really love seeing movies with that. And I think it's such a fun thing to play with and a very powerful tool. And I do really like the family scene when they're all at the table talking with each other. That was very fun. I do like that aspects of the movie, where it's more humane and more, I guess, playful, if all, or if anything, I guess. But the movie was very predictable for me. Like I knew as soon as we see what's it called? The daughter, I guess, in the suit, and then find out that the daughter was dead, I was like, oh, it's just definitely going to be the daughter, because my thought process behind it was like, oh, it might be the dad, but then I was like, there's no way the dad would fit into that small of a suit. Then I was like, who else could this be? And I was like, oh, it's the daughter. So it was really annoying for that part of it. Everything was just resolved so easily. I can't. I'm going to keep talking bad about it, and I don't want to, because it's not that bad. I'm just had such high hopes for it, and I was so excited for this movie, and I just really feel like they wasted the character, and that's what irks me the most. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll just do a brief comment about the villains for a sec, because it was also just a big shame, because I feel like lately, especially, Marvel isn't doing really well with its villains. But yeah, these two were just so forgettable. I heard that like in the comics, the Taskmaster like talks, and I feel like that was a big wasted opportunity, because like the main villain wasn't present for most of it. So to then have this other like silent antagonist, I just felt like it would have been more fun if maybe like even like if her voice was like modulated to sound deeper or something, to like, you know, throw you off or whatever. Like it would have made for, and she was like taunting like the Black Widow or something to make her a little bit more, I don't know, engaging, or like Deadpool-esque, I would say. I don't know, like she's like, it just would have made it, I don't know, given it something a little bit more, because also like the main villain was just very forgettable. And I'm going to talk about how just baffling the pheromones thing was.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, if you need a reason for your main hero not to kill the main villain yet, pheromones.
Yeah. Just I need to save my hatred.
Okay, do you want to give our ratings now?
Yeah, I give this a 6.5 out of 10. Maybe yeah, 6.5 out of 10. What about you?
I give it a 5 out of 10, just very middle of the road. I'm surprised. I thought yours would have been lower. So
Okay, I didn't want to be too mean, but I would give it a 5 too. The thing is, okay, I guess I'm just kind of romanticizing it more in my head because it's Black Widow, and I don't want to give it so much hate because it doesn't deserve hate, but yeah, no, I 5 or 4.5. Definitely would not watch this again. No way. Sorry. Just
I would watch specific scenes again, like even like some of the talking scenes, but yeah, I agree. It's just very like, all right.
Yeah.
We want to move on to the Suicide Squad, directed and written by James Gunn, starring Margot Robbie, Idris Elba. Oh my God, it's a big cast. Viola Davis, a bunch of people. It's a big cast. Sylvester Stallone as King Shark.
John Cena.
John Cena, yes. Pete Davidson, if you're a Pete Davidson fan. Daniela Melchior, and what's his name? Joel Kinnaman. All right, Natalie, give your thoughts. I'll let you start. I think this is the film we were both excited to talk about the most.
Okay, I've seen this movie twice already. It is one of my favorite movies. Honestly, at this point, it is one of my favorite movies of all time. I absolutely love this film. It just hits all the spots in my soul. And I love it. The humor is my exact humor. The world building, the creativity, the cinematography, everything about it was perfect. I honestly, Polka Dot Man. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on these characters. Okay, we were talking about this a while ago where I think I was talking about how I would love to see more movies where the villains are in charge and we get to see, we were talking about Loki, and I was talking about how I love to see the villain aspect of getting things done because they just don't care about any morals. They're just going right to it. And this movie was literally that exactly. These people are so horrible in a way, and they don't care about anything. They'll kill anyone just to get the job done. And they're having so much fun with it. And it's so much fun to watch. And the movie starts off great with Pete Davidson, all of those people. Oh, spoiler alerts, of course.
Yes, spoiler.
All those people charging in, and they die instantly. The Weasel, first of all, oh my God. Everything about this movie is perfect, and James Gunn is a genius. He is an absolute genius with Guardians of the Galaxy and all of that. Just perfect all around. And I was listening to this one interview, and I was watching a bunch of like behind the scenes with him, and he said that almost every shot is moving, and I thought that was really, really cool because I heard about all of that before the second time I saw it, and I noticed that the second time I saw it, and it gives such a life to the film. There's very few shots where it's just that itself, and even that sometimes it's just like the slightest thing where it's like you feel more like you're actively watching it and you're actively there, and you just get sucked into this universe, which is so much fun. And I love how I was watching this one thing, and he was talking about how he doesn't want to do the characters that everyone already knows in a way. He was talking, I think he got offered to do a Superman movie, and he was like, I want to do Polka Dot Man. Like, I want to find these characters that no one knows about, and I want to tell their story and bring them to life. And that's what really makes us so special with, I think Starro, the big starfish thing is called.
Yeah.
Stupid things like that. It is, wait a second. Sean Gunn, is that his brother?
Yeah, he played the guy that he also played the guy that broke Yondu.
Yeah. He does like the body movements for the Weasel and Rocket too. I didn't know that. That makes everything so much much better. Oh my god.
Did you notice he played the dad? He played Ratcatcher's dad.
Yeah,
Taika
Taika
Waititi.
Waititi. Literally the perfect cast. King Shark. Okay, honestly, it's God. The movie is so good. The movie is so perfect, and there's not a single thing I don't like, except for the fact, spoiler alert, that they killed Polka Dot Man, which breaks my heart. Oh my god. Okay, real quick, the last thing, because I've been talking for so long. I was watching this one interview with David Malshin, whatever his name, the guy who plays Polka Dot Man. It literally broke my heart to such an extreme. So first of all, he went to the same school my sister went to for acting. But he was talking about, oh my god, I love it so much. God, I can't even produce words right now. That's how much I love it. But you see the character development of that character so well, and it's so beautiful, and it's so sly, and just, oh my god. Because in the very beginning, when you see him get like the neck collar thing taken off, just the smallest things, where when he like looks up and looks down, like the lack of eye contact, and by the end of the movie he's just outgoing and happy and fully himself and has friends, and it's just, god. It hurts. Like, I was thinking about that all day today. I was just, god, Polka Dot Man deserved more. So well done. And James Gunn literally wrote that character specifically for David, because he told David that, and I love that, because that means that he wrote most of these characters specifically for these actors, which makes it even better. And I love that personalized feel, and they all work so well. They all do. They have such great chemistry together. They all have very different personalities, and it's just so much fun. Although, okay, actually, I'm talking for so long. The one character I didn't exactly like, my goodness, excuse me, was Viola Davis. I liked her character, but sometimes her responses to the characters, like, she was a little too angry at some parts. Like, though it didn't respond well with what they were giving her. Like, I forget, I don't know, I learned this in some acting class a while ago, where it's like, you usually respond back the same energy that you're given, but like in an altered way. But sometimes when she was getting, like, I think the one part where she says stand down to when the Bloods, god, what's his name? Bloodsport, yeah, Bloodsport has the pen up against her throat. She yells stand down, but it just felt awkward a little bit for me. But other than that, I really enjoyed her character. Oh god, all these characters are perfect. I'm gonna let you speak.
Yeah, so this movie, I think it gave me exactly what I wanted from a Suicide Squad movie. I love James Gunn. I love his work on the Guardians, and I think a lot of that also shines through here.
Mm-hmm.
I think I want to respond I might compare it to Black Widow a little bit, which is why I want to talk about both of these movies. But something I loved about this movie is, like, we have the opening, right, featuring what's his name, the guy who plays Yondu, as
Michael Rooker.
Michael Rooker, which was a great little cameo role. Nice to see him. But like, this movie right away with the like opening, like, I guess 9 minutes or whatever, like, you have like celebrities like Pete Davidson, you have a character from the first movie like Captain Boomerang, and you have all these characters, right? You're introduced to the squad. Mm-hmm. And then all of that, like, most of them die, and then you're introduced to this new squad. And I love that opening because it goes right away, yeah, nobody has any plot armor. We could kill off anyone as famous as like Pete Davidson, but there's no plot armor. It's
no one's safe.
No one is safe, which is something I love, because that was something like so annoying in Black Widow, where I'm like, oh, of course Yelena's not going to die after doing this thing. Like, she's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even like, much as I love Endgame, and I mentioned spoilers for Endgame at the beginning, So just skip ahead if you want to. But like even like as emotionally powerful as like Steve and Tony's like quote unquote deaths were, like I think most people saw them coming. They were like, oh yeah, the act. Well, like with this movie, they're like, yeah, nobody's safe. It's gonna be, don't get attached to anyone because you never know who's gonna die. And I just love that because it perfectly sets up the tone of this movie. It sets up the gore level. It sets up like what the Suicide Squad is, and it introduces these new characters and just the style of like the way it would say like, oh, like it would just like have these little pop-up moments of like 3 hours earlier, or like Operation, I forget what the place was called, but like it was like, and it would be like meanwhile Harley, and they would like pan down. It was just so stylized, and I loved that so much. And yeah, like all the characters were just so unique, and just like even though like the humor was so like dark, evil, but also so funny. Like the moment where Bloodsport and Peacemaker are like in his camp and they're competing to see who can kill people in the most horrific way, which in and itself is already so dark. Then you find out they get to Rick Flag and he's fine, and you realize this was the resistance camp, and they just like killed half the people. Oh my God. And it's so like something like that. You're like, it's just so horrible, but you kind of can't help but laugh. And then even Steve, like Polka Dot Man, he had like his like traumatic backstory what he was experiencing on by his mother. And you have this chilling line where he's like, they're like, "Where's your mother?" And she's like, "Everywhere." And it cuts to them, and everyone's faces is the mom, and it's so like horrifying, but like so, but like you still can't help but laugh. And stuff like that I love from this movie, and it just gave me. It's like, yeah, and even though like I knew going in that it doesn't really take itself that seriously, but it had a surprising amount of heart to it. And I'm definitely gonna like, especially with Ratcatcher 2, I guess, who I love. And speaking of Natalie, I didn't know you had a supporting role in this movie as Sebastian Rat.
Stop! I love Sebastian so much.
All right, that's all I'll say for now. Natalie, if you want to respond to anything.
No, say real quick.
Just something I want to say that James Gunn is a writer, which is I think why I personally really love Guardians 2, is the way, and that he explores this a lot in this movie, is something I think he does really well, is exploring this like, I guess, cycle of abuse or like parental trauma. Like that idea. He explores that a lot in Guardians, and then it's like here too, where especially with Ratcatcher, how like Ratcatcher first, like how her father, like she still loves him even though he was very flawed, which reminded me of like Peter Quill and Yondu's relationship. And you have Idris Elba, who has this really complicated relationship with his daughter, and his daughter is like ashamed of him essentially. Like even she has like very little screen time. Even she kind of has like a character arc, and he like sort of becomes this parent figure to Ratcatcher. And then like Polka Dot Man, with him overcoming his like fear, I guess, or like of his mother, and finally like seeing himself as a superhero. Like you have all these like themes of like parental abuse, and I guess like overcoming that, or like found families, which is like the scene where they're all drinking together, and it was just so like that's just what I love. So, and even that like even with like Harley and Rick Flag, and how like she's like, you came back for me, and she's like Rick Flag, and she wanted to like give it to the press, not because like she really cared about that, but because Rick Flag wanted to give it to the press, and she like really cared about him. And yeah, so that's just like some like themes that I love. That's why I partially love Guardians 2, so just as if not more than the first one, because he really goes into, I think, what he's really great at writing. So yeah, that's what I'll say for now. Natalie, I'll let you respond.
This is sort of off topic, but real quick, have you seen What If yet? The Marvel animated series?
I have not, but I know what the second episode is about.
You gotta watch it. It's so good. Oh my God, it's really good. But what was it? Oh yeah, James Gunn. This is honestly one of the first movies I've seen that fully captures everything I want in a movie and everything I want my own style to be. What I really loved about this movie is how excited it got me, because it it was so cool, because in my head this is stuff I want to create, and this is the world and characters I want to see and do. And it got me really excited because it exists and stuff like this can happen, and movies like this can be created, and it just got me so excited because I want to create more stories like this, because they're not only fun for the actors to be in, but it's so much fun to watch, and it has that perfect kind of, not contrast, but it has that perfect balance of being a joke and making fun of itself, but being serious and being all of it. And what you were saying about like the cycle of abuse and the found families and all of that, I really love that, especially when it's the side of the villains. In a way, we're seeing these characters who have, honestly, yeah, villains in my head always have, are more vivid and more like tangible as a whole, because superheroes, there's always that kind of forced and restriction to them doing whatever they want, because they have these really strong morals and they want to do good, and they're only there to fight the bad guys, all that kind of stuff. But for these characters, there's no morals, but you see the character, they're more raw in a way. There's no filter on them, and you can really see these characters, and you always know what they're thinking, and you always know what they're about and how they go about doing these things. And seeing that's just so much fun, and especially because you see these characters who are usually kind of just casted as the villains, like one side, we only see them doing bad things. But in this movie, we get to see what they're really like and why they're doing these bad things and why they have this baggage with them, why they're doing what they're doing, why Ratcatcher 2 is continuing her father's work in a way, why she's still like this, and why Bloodsport has this kind of anger and resentment to being a father and to other fathers, and just has that closed off everything. And another thing I really like about this movie is how diverse all the characters are. There is no character that is the same. And I think it's really funny, especially because in the movie, what's the character's name? Amanda, the Waller, Miss Waller, she uses the exact same description that she gave to Bloodsport to Peacemaker, like minutes later. And I think that's so funny because it's the exact same description for each character. Oh, the father didn't do it, he's a very good fighter, all that kind of stuff. But they're so different. They're completely different characters on opposite sides of the spectrum. And I think that's so cool. And I love how they're playing with that and how they're literally making fun of themselves with the movie as that. And I love it. Oh my God, it's such a good movie. And what you were saying before about how no one's safe and they just have these celebrities in it makes it even better. Like Flula Borg, the that one German comedian who played Javelin, is just adding that in there is hilarious. Nathan Fillion, Pete Davidson, that is so funny because when you see these people, you automatically don't think like, oh, that's a character. You think that's Pete Davidson. And they're playing themselves in a way at the same time. And I love that. And that it's just so much fun. And oh my God, I can't even imagine how much fun being on this set would be and how exciting it must be because there's just so much world creating. And I know we mentioned this a while ago about how Guardians of the Galaxy has such a good world. The whole kind of universe of it and detail to the cities and each characters and each species of characters. It's so specific and detailed. And this movie has the same thing, even though it's something that we see. Like it's more down to earth, but it still has that diversity and still has that detail and world creation. I think that's so cool. I absolutely think James Gunn is a genius, and it just it's such a good movie. I love it.
Yeah. All right. I know we're just gushing about it the whole time, but it's fine. I have a lot more to say still. Oh God, what was I gonna say though? Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. But yeah, no, I remember. I was gonna say, speaking of the diversity, because to compare it to, I guess, the original one, which is terrible, But I think this one is a perfect example of like one of a million reasons why that one failed. And when you look at the first one, like almost all of the action scenes take place at night, like in an abandoned city. But like here, like I think, like I don't know, tell me I'm wrong, but like every action scene was in a different setting, had different set pieces. Like every action set piece was unique. Like I can like picture them in the mind, the fight in the freedom fighters camp, Harley's escape from the prison, that was super unique. The battle with Starro the Conqueror, even just like getting into the Jotunheim with like the building, the fight on the beach, like every set piece was so unique, and it made for such a dynamic experience, like with the action set pieces, because they never felt like tired, because every place was you were in like a nightclub, or you were in like, the film just felt like it was moving and it was expanding the world, and it wasn't just like static. And I think that just made it like so like engaging in that way, which is why I think a lot of action films like do kind of get a little like feel like it's just noise at a certain point, because I'm guessing it might have been this way in Godzilla versus Kong, where it just feels like it's a bunch of like buildings being thrown around all over the place. But yeah, so it made it really interesting in that way. And like with the flowers and stuff representing the blood in the Harley escape, which I thought was so cool, and reminded me of the Not Come a Little Bit Closer scene in Guardians 2 with like the Yondu's arrow and stuff. It gave me that kind of vibe. And yeah, I just something else I really liked about the movie is I guess that I don't know if it was a twist, but it was an interesting development, I would say, where, you know, they get into Jotunheim and they think, oh, you know, we have to destroy it because now they're hostile to Americans, which shows like they're still kind of doing things like bad. But you also know why this is like a co-op, like a black ops mission, where, you know, it's just a bunch of villains who are trying to infiltrate it, because then it could caught, because that in the first movie it's like, why aren't the superheroes helping this event, like don't know about this event. By the end it gets a little bit more into that with the starfish, like being, it's like, does Batman know about this? Like I will say, but still, like, you know, you're like, okay, like this makes sense, like this makes sense why this is a co-op mission. You know, it has to be secret because, oh, now they're hostile to the American government, but they can't know that the Americans are in there, if that makes sense. I'm not good at politics. But even like this sort of, I guess, twist where it's like this was an American experiment the whole time, and they didn't want it to be conducted on American soil, so they sent it off to this like more, I guess, corrupt little country to conduct experiments. Like it was like almost like a interesting commentary on like American politics, which I didn't expect from such a high budget film, because most of them are pretty like positive about like Americans, or it's just like a few individuals that are bad or something. But no, this one's like, yeah, the Americans conducted these terrible experiments in this like smaller nation, where they could just pin it on the corrupt Herrera family or something. I just thought that was really, and then the fact that Peacemaker was bad. I mean, he definitely seemed more bad, but the fact that he like kills like I was starting to actually kind of care for Rick Flag. Like he was like a decent guy, and then he's like kills him, and it's like, oh shit. Like I don't know, I might have seen that, like I'm like, I wasn't surprised, but it was still like an interesting development, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I'm really excited. Apparently there's going to be a Peacemaker series that James Gunn is also creating, and I'm very excited for that as well. But yeah, overall, such a good movie. Everything I could ask for in a movie.
Can we just talk about how funny this movie was?
It was hilarious.
It was even just like one-off gags where it was like John Cena stepping in just in these tiny whities. And oh my god, the acting, like I think it's just the perfect, like you could just tell, yeah, like you said, like the actors were just having so much fun. with these characters. And oh my god, I just fell in love with like so many of the characters. Like King Shark was like, I love that also he wasn't just like Groot. Like going, I thought, oh, he's just gonna be another version of Groot, but he like really wasn't. And he's like, oh, I have no friends. And it's so sad. But then Ratcatcher becomes his friend. And she uses rats of all things to like freaking save the day. And like how corny the montage of Harley in the castle was with the prince. And it was just it was just so funny, but also like so heartwarming. Like when Polka Dot Man died, I was like, no, baby. He was so good. But yeah. All right, do we want to give or anything else?
No, it was, I can safely say it was in my eyes, the perfect movie. It is definitely one of my favorite movies. Now, next time someone asks me, I will say The Suicide Squad by James Gunn, the second one, because the first one was god awful. I will give this movie a 10 out of 10. It was everything I wanted it to be. Yeah.
So whatever. Okay, so on my IMDb, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Like just for like technicality, because I did feel like some jokes didn't work for me, and I feel like some scenes or things kind of dragged out, like jokes, I guess, dragged out a little bit. But I think personally, like uncritical opinion aside, this would be a 9 out of 10. I would definitely raise it just for how the fact that this movie gave me everything I wanted and more. Oh yeah, but I honestly might raise my score. Yeah.
I have one thing. Did you see this movie in theaters or did you watch it on a computer or something?
I watched it on a computer.
I saw this movie in theaters both times, and it created an amazing experience. Honestly, okay, so the first time I saw the movie, it was a packed, like not fully packed, but it was a pretty crowded theater. And the excitement, because last time I went to see a movie, there wasn't that many people in it, honestly, but the excitement of the audience and laughing at the jokes and being around other people was what made it even better, honestly. I think that even when there was jokes that I didn't exactly like care for that much, hearing other people laugh made me enjoy the joke. And so I just wanted to point that out a little bit. But
yeah, maybe that could have changed, maybe affected my opinion a little bit. I guess we had the inverse opinion with Black Widow and Suicide Squad because I watched it. But yeah, like, yeah, it was so, because I sort of did a stop and start thing a couple of times just because, but like even then I was like dying to get back and like see what happened. So yeah, so I think I'll go 8.5 out of 10. Just sort of even it out a bit. But I honestly swear to God would consider this one of my, at least in the like, at least at the very least top 10 favorite, maybe even like top 5 or something favorite superhero films. I loved it so much. All right, so that was our discussion, I think, unless there are any other things on the Suicide Squad. So it's gonna be a little bit challenging, so we're gonna try, I think, to aim for next week. But so Natalie, is there anything you would like to do for next week? Or
nothing too big, but I would love for you to watch the What If Marvel series.
Okay.
There's so much I want to talk about with that. I also, do you have Apple TV by any chance? Have you watched any Ted Lasso?
I have not.
Okay, you don't have to watch that because I know you're starting school and that's going to be very chaotic, and I'm moving in soon. If you could sneak in an episode of that, I would love to talk about that too. I mean, it might be harder to talk about just one episode. Don't worry about Ted Lasso. What If is our biggest priority so far.
Okay, so What If, I know last week my random rec was Cabaret, but I think we'll hold off on that for now. And then I'll probably have Cowboy Bebop finished by next week as well.
I have not finished that at all. I need to watch more of that.
So yeah, I guess we'll watch the first 3-4 episodes of What If and talk about them. I'll talk a little bit about Cowboy Bebop, and then if you finished it, and then I'll do my best to watch Ted Lasso. But if not,
yeah, don't worry about that though.
Then I might text you another movie or something that maybe we could both watch. But yeah, that was our episode. Natalie, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd, if you want to give any final thoughts.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed talking or listening to us talk about the not so lovely Black Widow and the Suicide Squad. Leave a comment if you have anything you want to have us talk about or watch or anything. Yeah, once again, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.